This next gentleman, our special guest today, I've known this guy for years. I don't even know how many years, but we can kind of get caught up on this. He's a local, well, I'll let him tell you what's going on in his life. Just a crazy quirk of just random technology is why he's our special guest. Please welcome to the stage from the city of Mesa, Mr. Will Novak. Will, come on up here, buddy. Good to have you here.
Having me.
I have, by the way, I hurried down the mountain because they told me Will Ferrell was going to be here.
Well,
but I'm just as happy that it's Will Novak.
well, it's a slightly less exciting redhead, but still pretty good.
You have great hair, by the way.
You don't have any, by the way.
I know. and this is a toupee.
Wow.
It's the worst one ever.
Running back.
I've known Will, as you can tell, he's a funny guy. He dabbles in stand-up comedy, and then he decided to do something a little bit more respectable and
a real job.
Predictable. So now you work for the city of Mesa.
Yeah, that's
Let's
right.
get the perfunctory, what you do out of the way, and then we'll get into why you're here.
So you remember Bill, who was up here earlier?
Jabjiniak.
Yes, I just do whatever he says. So I'm...
We all do.
Exactly, we're all just...
It's Bill's world. We're just living in it.
That's right. Yeah, so I'm a project manager in economic development. So as companies are looking to move or expand to Mesa, I'll work with them and give them information on buildings we have available, tax incentives, figure out where the people are that may be working with that company, and kind of help them grow and expand here into Mesa.
That's awesome. Now, I think I know a little bit about your background. You're a native Phoenician, right?
Yes, yeah. Grew up in Ahwatukee when it was just nothing but half-constructed houses and dirt lots, and grew up going to Fiesta Mall and hanging out. My grandfather had a business in downtown Mesa, so Mesa's very close to my heart.
That's awesome. And you used to work for the city of Phoenix.
I worked for the city of Phoenix for a while, and then I also worked for the Greater Phoenix Economic Council, which is the regional economic development agency.
And then you've been to working for the city of Mesa and for Bill for how long?
Since October, so 6 months.
6 months. Have you been there long enough to know how to spell Jabjiniak?
No. He has an assistant, and she takes care of all the spelling related.
By the way, I have found when you're playing Scrabble, that is a very... It's a lot of points on Jabjiniak.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So that's what you do.
Yeah.
And you were just doing that. And a few months ago, I'll just shut up and let you tell the story because you've been blown up all over the world. What happened?
On January 7th, I got an email to my personal email account that said, "Urgent email, open right away, Angelo's bachelor party." And I thought, well, I don't know anybody named Angelo, and it was, so urgent that it sounded like one of those like a Nigerian prince scam email type things. And so I almost deleted it, but because I'm an idiot, I decided, well, let's open it. What's the worst that can happen? They steal my identity, get into my bank account, take $17, who cares? So
hey, he does work for Bill.
So I open the email and I'm reading it, and it's these guys in New Jersey, and they're planning this bachelor party. It's gonna be this epic ski weekend. They're going from Jersey up to Vermont, and it said, like, your liver is never gonna make it. It's gonna be the craziest bachelor party ever. We're gonna wear crazy 1980s themed ski suits, but we haven't heard back from the following guys, and one of the names on there was Bill Novak. One letter off from my name, Will Novak. And I realized, okay, so their friend probably has a similar email address to me. Somebody made a typo. But instead of just deleting it, I decided to respond. And I said, dear guys, I don't know Angelo. I'm from Arizona. I don't know how to ski. Vermont is a very far way away. All that being said, count me in.
Can't believe he didn't ski in Ahwatukee. You got South Mountain right
South
there.
Mountain's right there. Not too much snow, though. So I just wrote this really silly email back about, we can stay up all night, we can play board games, we can paint our nails, we can talk about girls. I treated it like it was like a 12-year-old girl slumber party, and they thought that was great. So 2 days later, they said, you might think this is a joke, but we're not joking. Get to Vermont. And so then I asked my wife, and I said, should I?
Single man,
right.
take note.
Right.
He asked his wife, okay.
And she's like, yeah, get away from me. So she go. And so we started thinking about it, and I looked up the flights and the ski rentals and renting a car, and it was, it was not cheap. It was like $750.
And I'm sorry, but as things come to me, you're a new father.
I'm a new father. I have actually, my baby will be, 1 year old on Sunday. So yeah, hey,
yeah.
I did it. And so, a new dad, we just remodeled our house, just started a new job. I'm like, man, $750 is kind of a lot for a joke. And then my buddy Jeff's like, do a GoFundMe. I've heard those work. And I'm like, that'll never work. So just to show Jeff that he's an idiot, I put a GoFundMe up for $750. And then my wife and I sat down to dinner, and 2 hours later, we had over $1,000. They had started to go viral, and all these people were like, yeah, you should do this. You should go ski with strangers.
So everything your parents told you.
Right.
You broke that, and that's
No,
awesome.
I was living by the motto that strangers are just best friends you haven't met yet. So that was kind of my MO. And so then it started getting retweeted by local politicians. Mayor Giles retweeted it. And then the local news, every local TV station called me and like, are you really gonna do this? These guys might be murderers. And they thought I might be a murderer. There was a lot of concern over who was the murderer. And so they asked me to send like a photo of myself so that I could prove that I was a real person. So I sent them a picture from Ahwatukee when I was in 2nd grade doing karate to let them know
that you were easy to take down. Yeah.
If they were weaker than 2nd graders, I had it. So yeah, I started raising the money, and then we ended up, the GoFundMe went up to like $5,000, and people were calling from all over the country and thinking, oh, this is such a funny story. And all this time, Angelo the Bachelor, he has no idea this is going on.
This is all a surprise to Angelo.
Yeah, Angelo doesn't know that his brother, Devin, screwed up the email. Angelo doesn't know any of this is coming, so we're trying to plan it as big as we can. And then all these companies start reaching out to me like, hey, can we send you a free beer to the party? And I'm like, sure. And then another company reached out and said, how about free beef jerky? And I'm like, I'll take free anything. It just was more and more and more and more. I was on a show called Sunrise, which is the #1 breakfast show in Australia. It's like
Is it a lot like this?
It's a lot like this. It's 2 blonde ladies with heavy accents going, you go into a stag? And I was like, And, yeah, stag, you go into a stag do, which a stag do is what they call a bachelor party. And a hen's night is a bachelorette party. Stags and hens, why isn't it deer and stags or hens and chickens, but whatever. Australians, they're weird, they're upside down.
Upside down.
So, yeah, I talked to the fine Australian people, and it just kind of was getting bigger and bigger. When I got to Sky Harbor Airport, so it was the next week was the bachelor party. I get to Sky Harbor, I get in line, and American Airlines says, well, you don't have to wait in line, come with us. Went to the front of the line, and I was wearing this like silly outfit. I was wearing like this red, in the email the guy said, dress up silly. So I wore this American flag jumpsuit, and because I have red hair, all these people in the airport thought I was Shaun White, the snowboarder. So everyone's like, Shaun, and I'm like, hi, yes, hi.
City of Mesa.
Yeah, and so that was bizarre, and then like as I'm on the airplane, it's just blowing up bigger and bigger, and all these people again think I'm a snowboarder, and when I land, I landed in Boston. The plan was to land in Boston and rent a car and drive up to Vermont to meet the guys. And when I land there, I go over to the car rental desk, and I'm like, look, there's this huge blizzard coming in, and I had rented a minivan because it was $16 a day, and it was the cheapest option. And I'm like, I really need to upgrade from the minivan. I need something with 4-wheel drive. We're going to a pretty rural area. And like, yeah, we already thought of that. We've got you upgraded. No problem. We took care of it. I was like, oh, thank you so much. I'm expecting to see like a Ford Explorer or something. And we go outside, and like, is this Maserati going to be okay for you? And so they give me an $85,000 Maserati SUV. I didn't even know Maserati made an SUV.
They obviously did not do a background check.
No. And I'm not really that into cars. I'm an okay driver. But like the car is like driving a rocket ship, or like remember the Knight Rider car, how you could talk to it?
Yeah.
This car, you can talk to it. You can say like, Maserati, turn on the radio comes on. And Maserati, turn on the air conditioning, whatever. But some of the features you cannot talk to. So it was cold there, but it wasn't too cold initially, and these heated seats came on, and they were just lighting me on fire. And I kept going, Maserati, hot seats. Maserati, my butt is hot. Turn off hot seats, no more hot seats. But I couldn't
Talking
get it.
to it like a toddler.
Right. Maybe I should have said please, I don't know. This is the magic word after all. So eventually I figured out how to get the heated seats off. A local brewery met me in the airport in Boston, and they had a crate. I think there's a picture up there. They brought me this crate of beer, and they're like, all right, here, have all these beers. And I'm like, I can't get on the shuttle to the car rental with 40 cases of beer. And they're like, oh yeah, that's okay, we'll help you out. And they took me to get the car, and they loaded the car up. The entire back 2 seats in the back of the Maserati was just full of beer from local breweries. I mean, it was insane. It was insane. And then more breweries started calling me, and they're like, hey, you're going to Vermont. You should go off the highway a couple miles and come to our brewery and pick up more beer. So my route was like this insane Go there, get more beer. Go there, get more beer. And I was like the Johnny Appleseed of beer. And so,
And here you are today. We've got 1 million cases on the other side of that wall.
Right. So I feel comfortable.
You're the beer magnet.
That's right. And I'm not even much of a
Now,
drinker.
have you ever been to that part of the country before?
I had. Yeah,
Okay.
I have. I'm pretty well traveled, but I'm, like I said, not really a skier. I had only ever skied one day when I was 12. I don't know how to do it. So after all these like beer runs, by the time I get to the guy's house, it's like 3 in the morning as I'm getting close. And rural Vermont has no GPS. If you are in the cell phone business, you can make a boatload by getting coverage to Vermont, because everyone will need you, because there's no cell phone coverage. So my GPS went out. It told me to go across this bridge, but the bridge was snowed out and you couldn't cross the bridge, and I'm totally lost. And I finally get to the guy's house at 3 in the morning, and I'm expecting I was kind of worried that I would be rude showing up so late, you know? Thought maybe I should sleep in a parking lot of a Walmart overnight. And when I get there, not only are the guys not asleep, not are they upset at me for being late, they're standing outside and they're shooting fireworks off. They're shooting fireworks at me. I get out of the car and I'm dodging bottle rockets, and they're playing metal music, but not playing like on a CD. Like, they're playing it. Like, 2 guys are shredding guitars, 1 guy's on the drums. They're in this they told me they had a ski chalet. It was more like a ski shack. This place was disgusting. I mean, there was Cheeto dust on the floor, old beer, the exposed beams because the roof was falling in. I mean, the place is a mess. And they're shooting off fireworks inside, and one of their buddies is passed out, dead to the world. They've got a speaker right next to his ear, and I was concerned about him, so I went to check his pulse, and they start shredding the metal, and they're just like, "Don't ever check his pulse!" I was like, why not? And so I was like, I did not realize what I had gotten myself into. These guys, they take it to 11. They were drinking 20, 30 beers a day. I mean, they were happy to see me show up with the sleigh full of booze.
So you got the email on what day?
January 7th, and this
the-
was Martin Luther King Day weekend, so whatever that was, a week later, 2 weeks later, something like that.
Wow,
Yeah.
all that transpired.
Yeah.
How many retweets, how many likes, how many?
Oh gosh, the Twitter was just a few thousand, and then Instagram was up to like 12,000, and then Seth Meyers from Late Night did a little segment on it called "The Kind of Story We Need Right Now," because he liked that it was just like a good, feel-good story, and that got viewed online 13 million times. So.
Wow, you're not expecting that out of this appearance, I hope.
No, I'm just 13.
Okay, yeah, there you go. Wow, so now that sounds unbelievable,
That was unbelievable.
but it's even gotten crazier since then.
Yeah, so then we skied all day, and then, I mean, it was just crazy. We go to the ski resort, and everyone in this tiny town, Ludlow, knows who we are. I mean, pretty girls are shouting my name, which has never happened before. They were treating us like kings. They took us to all these bars, and then this was all day Saturday. And then late Saturday or early Sunday morning, I can't even remember, it was a blur, Good Morning America called and said, "Do you want to come to New York City and talk about this wild adventure on Good Morning America?" And we're like, "Yeah, sure." So we drove the Maserati through the snow and through a blizzard, and we got the Maserati stuck in the snow a couple times because it didn't have snow tires on it. It had performance tires, racing tires. So we had to dig the Maserati out of the snow and drove it into Times Square, into Manhattan, and we were on Good Morning America with Michael Strahan, and I think there's a picture up there, but yeah, hey, look at that. That's me and Angelo. Angelo's a little hungover there. He's about 110 beers in for the weekend.
And what was your count at that point? Well, you're the designated driver.
I was the designated driver. I didn't want anyone else driving the $85,000 Maserati, which I didn't get the insurance on. 'Cause I'm a wild man. I like to gamble. So yeah,
Wow.
it's been the bizarre.
So you go from just leading a normal, quiet life in Mesa, Arizona, to be on TV all over the world.
TV all over the world and making people laugh, which is great. All these people said, this story really cheered me up to see in this time when people are so politically divided and fighting all the time. There's so much anger on TV that these guys that are quite different, they're like, my idea of an exciting night is playing board games and drinking a Diet Coke. Like, I'm pretty boring. So these guys are partying over the top, and the fact that we all got together and had a great time and nobody died. One guy broke his shoulder, but besides that, no big deal.
Yeah, you got to thin the herd. There's always a weak guy.
Yeah, he was trying to do a jump on a green slope. He was trying to show off and hot dog it and busted his shoulder up, but other than that.
And so now, when was Angelo in on the gig?
We're not sure. He found out, we were hoping that when I arrived it would be a surprise, and somehow, when the media got so big, he found out somehow a few days ahead of time, but he wouldn't really He never really gave us a straight answer. I never really talked to Angelo while he was sober, to be honest. So I don't know a lot about Angelo. It was hard for him to have a cohesive string of thoughts.
Well, when you're going to get married, that's the way you want to go into it.
Yeah.
Just all liquored up. Well,
And then so we took the money, the GoFundMe got up to like $5,000, and Angelo, I found out his wife, or his bride-to-be, is 4 months pregnant. So I said, you know what, we'll take all this extra money that I don't need, and we'll give it to him and his bride. So that was a good, good way to start their new life. And they've gotten married now, and I think they're still alive. I think it's all going great, as far as I know.
wow. So there's a bunch of morals to this story.
I think so.
Don't delete goofy emails. Have fun with it.
Yes, be open to the universe, I think.
Yeah, there you go. I like that. Now, are you free to talk about stuff like other potential projects?
Yeah.
Because it gets crazier than what he's told us.
Yeah, so after all this happened, after Good Morning America and Seth Meyers talking about it, all these companies in Hollywood started calling, and they're like, this could be the next Hangover movie. Do you want to make a movie? And I'm like, yeah, sure, whatever. I don't know how to do that. Yeah, please, let's do it. So they're like, come to LA. So then the next weekend after I was in Vermont, I drove from Metro Phoenix and drove out to Los Angeles and met with these companies. And
In the Maserati?
and didn't still have a Maserati. Okay, right. I was back in my '06 Pontiac Vibe with 200,000 miles on it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's got 3 hubcaps, which is almost all the hubcaps you need. So it's a pretty sweet ride.
That's 75%.
That's
Come
right.
on.
That's not bad. If baseball, that's way in the Hall of Fame. And that
Hilarious.
it's like the Grease Lightning before it became Grease Lightning, if you remember. So I drive out to LA, and all these companies are like, we'd like to buy your life rights. And I was like, my life rights? That sounds intense. And so I met a lawyer. I got a lawyer, and then he helped me find an agent. So I have an agent now, which is weird. My agent is this guy, David Saunders, who's a big agent. He's also the agent for the gangster rapper 50 Cent. So, because when you think dorky white dad who works in Mesa, you think gangster rapper 50 Cent. It's just, we're 2 peas in a pod. We're basically indistinguishable.
The next partner movie.
Exactly, me and 50 rapping our way through the country. So I meet with him, and he's like, yeah, I want to be your agent. We think this could be a funny story, like The Hangover, like Bachelor Party, like any of those kind of movies. And so then we started meeting with different production companies, and that was surreal and bizarre. And eventually met with a company called Davis Entertainment, and we went ahead and signed a deal with them. Davis Entertainment, this guy, John Davis, he's in his 60s. His father was Marvin Davis. He owned a company you probably heard of called 20th Century Fox.
Yeah.
And so John Davis, he has Davis Entertainment. They've made, the first movie they ever made was in the 80s. It was Brewster's Millions with Richard Pryor. Yeah. And then they've made all the Predator movies, all the Alien movies. They made a movie last year called Game Night with Jason Bateman and Rachel McAdams. They made Joy with Jennifer Lawrence. They made all the Garfield movies. They've got a movie coming out next year with The Rock based on the Jungle Cruise ride at Disneyland. That's going to be a big budget action flick. And they're like, we think this could be the next date night, like a $35 million movie, a comedy about dudes getting along and having fun. And I'm like, yeah, great. Go for it, make a movie. So that's where we are now. So now we're this past week, they've been interviewing writers. I think we have one that we're probably gonna go with. We can't say yet who it is, but so that we're gonna pick a writer, and then they'll pick like an actor to play me, I guess, which is insane.
Shaun White, it should be Shaun White.
I was thinking the guy from Napoleon Dynamite, maybe, the red hair, but they've thrown out a lot of different names. Thankfully, he doesn't have to look like me. So then we'll get an actor hopefully on board, and then after that, I'll probably go back out to LA in a weekend here soon, and go to Warner Brothers and Sony and Universal Studios and pitch it as a movie, and they'll either say yeah or no, and I don't know. I just hope to get enough money to upgrade my Pontiac Vibe. That's really the...
At least get another hubcap.
That's right. I need hubcap money.
Well, just a thought, should this go to production, you should film it here in Mesa, because we've got all kinds of tax incentives, as you would know.
Yes, absolutely. There was the one thing is they said, do you care who plays you? And I said, no, I don't. They're like, what if it's someone who doesn't look like you? What if it's someone of a different ethnicity? Or what if it's even a woman? What if we changed your role to a woman? I'm like, I don't care. The only thing I care is that the main character is from Arizona. Every movie, it's about a guy from LA or a guy from New York. There's other places in the world than New York and LA. They were all on board with that. Actually, a couple of the people that work for this production company are from Phoenix. One guy's from Scottsdale, another guy's from Ahwatukee. So, and plus the contrast of like cactus in the desert going to the snow is a good, funny visual. So, yeah, they're like, yeah, we definitely want to make Arizona involved.
Wow. That is just all of that from a typo.
That's right. And now I'm here on Mesa Morning Live. Always been a dream.
Absolutely. Dreams can come true, boys and girls, if you're watching at home.
Wish upon a star.
I've been in this business 32 years. I've tried to get a break every now and then, and I should just answer more emails.
Answer your emails and just let the universe come to you.
That is awesome. Where are we on time? Let's see. Does anybody have a quick question before we turn this guy loose to go back to slave for Bill? Anybody got a question? Oh, here we got a question from Lynette.
Hi. Hi, Lynette.
I'm curious, are the writers going to allow more input from you in terms of your personal experiences that you had in Vermont?
Yeah, that was, if you didn't hear, she asked, are the writers going to allow me to have some input and with my personal experience of what actually happened? Yes, one of the reasons we picked this company is because when we were interviewing, some companies were basically like, we want your life rights and then you go away to Arizona and we never see you again. I interviewed at this company and they were very nice. They're like, look, we think you're smart and funny and we know you've done stand-up and you're interesting. Like, we would be foolish not to ask you. So the writer that I'm pretty sure we're gonna go with has been emailing me over this week and he's like, hey, did this happen? Or tell me more about this guy there. Or, you know, there was one funny thing I didn't mention was at one point we met these young ladies in a bar. They were visiting from Manhattan and they were a little too drunk to drive. Not crazy, but you know, probably not a good idea to drive. And we asked them, how are you gonna get home? And they said, oh, we'll just Uber back to our Airbnb. And I was like, well, number one, there's no cell reception in Vermont. Number two, there's no Uber. So they were in trouble. But they're from Manhattan. They hadn't thought that through. So I was like, well, not to brag, but I've got a Maserati, girls. And so I go to, but again, married, so nothing's happened. I go to get the Maserati. I turn it on in the parking lot to warm it up, and I go in and tell the girls, hey, the Maserati's out there, warm it up. And some drunk guy in the bar hears the Maserati outside, runs out of the bar, jumps into the Maserati, and drives it away into the snow-filled night, drunk as can be, and it's gone. And it was just, I was having a full-on meltdown panic attack. Luckily, after about 15 minutes later, he pulled back in and swerved back into the parking lot, and he hadn't hit anything, thank God. He was like, oh, I was just playing a prank on you, trying to get you, and it all worked out. But, so like little stories like that. Maybe in the movie, the car will get stolen and he crashes it. They'll probably, they'll jazz it up for them.
That, ladies and gentlemen, is how he met Bernie Sanders.
That's right, and that was Bernie. He said, this car is for the 1% of the 15%. That guy loves percents.
That is awesome. Well, what a cool attitude, though, be open to the universe.
I think that's the thing, yeah, just trying to say yes to new experiences and, if your phone rings and it's a number you don't know, answer it. It's probably a junk call, but maybe it's not. I think just being open to things, trying to meet new people, and I think most people are great. 9 out of 10 people are really cool and want to be fun and get along, and I think that's the right attitude to have.
That's very cool. Well, you couldn't, thank God it wasn't an email from somebody in Apache Junction. That wouldn't have been a funny story.
No, the quest all the way from Mesa to Apache Junction.
Exactly. Well, that is good for you. Now, by the way, today you didn't drive a Maserati. You brought the
Pontiac, yeah.
The Pontiac. We're not trying to pick on you, but we notice it needs a good cleaning.
Yes, absolutely.
So one of our favorite members is Cobblestone Auto Spa.
Yes.
They're all over the valley.
Yes.
This is good for any of them. This is a $100 detail gift card.
Thank you, I definitely need it.
From Mesa Morning Live.
Thank you. It'll be the first time it's been washed in about 7 years.
He said first time it's been washed in 7 years. So, and they may even have a hubcap there. Who knows? They got everything else.
It's less of a wash and more of an archaeological dig at this point.
That's awesome. Well, so to wrap this up, to end it on a business note, what do you think about your 6 months in Mesa? What do you think the trajectory of this city's coming, and why should everybody watching this and working here be excited to be part of Mesa?
I mean, Mesa's a growing city. Obviously, I'm passionate about it. I think it's going in the right direction as more and more people move here. Cities like Phoenix and Tempe are starting to price people out, and I think we're going to see with the light rail line, West Mesa's starting to revitalize, like Bill was talking about. Downtown has a few projects that ASU's moving in. Once that happens, that's going to be a big trigger. There's going to be a few residential projects. And then out on the east side of town with Gateway Airport, I mean, that's just going gangbusters. If you haven't been out to Gateway, just go drive around. You won't recognize it. It's completely different than it was 5 years ago, and 5 years from now, it'll be totally different. I mean, that's an international airport. You can fly to Canada from there. It's really going gangbusters. So it's an exciting time to be in Mesa.
That is awesome. And you know what you ought to do? You ought to invite in the dead of winter. Invite the Vermont boys out here.
I did invite Angelo out here. Actually, Mayor Giles said if he wants to come out to a Cubs or A's game, he can sit in the suite. But again, I don't know that Angelo was sober enough to understand. I am inviting you to Arizona. He was like, what is going on? So I need to maybe send him a follow-up note. Because he's a little...
That's hilarious. Well, Will, I'm glad it was you that it happened to, because you're a funny guy and you took a chance and you turned it into something huge. If in the movie there's a part
For like my grandpa?
Yeah. If my hip wasn't acting up, I remember when he's got a karate background. I better give this back to him. Ladies and gentlemen, how about a big round of applause for the one and only Mr. Will Novak? Thank you very much. Great stuff, man. Great story. Yeah. Go ahead.